Okay, I have never played DayZ before, or really any game quite like it. I'm familiar with it through cultural osmosis, so I'll try to state my understanding and maybe somebody in chat can correct me. This was originally a mod for a game called Arma 3, and it was one of the earliest, not battle royales, but it was an early game that had a like big open map that a ton of people could connect to. And it's DayZ because theoretically it has to do with zombies, but in practice it didn't really have very many zombies, or maybe even the zombies weren't added for a long time. And it ended up being more about like surviving on this open map with a bunch of other random players and emergent gameplay, like making alliances with other players, getting shot. It kind of like developed eventually into PUBG and Fortnite, if I understand correctly. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I said, I've never played it before. I'm only kind of peripherally aware of it, so I'm gonna do my best to figure it out. I currently have no game audio, which I think that's, oh no, we do. It's just really quiet. I am turning off VoIP, which I think is probably the right decision. Let's leave these where they are. Change server. So there's official is probably what I want, right? With like a low ping. With the probably more players is more important, right? Okay. First person only. Some of these are fine. Probably my best ping with the highest population on the server. I'll try to adjust the audio if it's too quiet. It looks a bit quiet in the equalizer here. Okay, could not connect, unreachable. Well, I can live with low ping if player count is more important. Yeah, this one's loading. I think this is just going to be free play. I'm going to like walk around and see if I can figure out what the deal is. Contaminated areas with deadly mist. Okay. In my understanding of a game like this, I also haven't played Rust, but I think Rust is kind of a similar concept, that it's about emergent gameplay more so than, there's not like a story. And it's not like an arena fight or anything like that. You just kind of go around, you try to find loot, you try to stay alive as long as possible. You maybe make some allegiances. Oh, it looks like it affects how much sound you make. That's kind of cool. It said something about if you do use VoIP, there's a button you can press. I saw this in a loading screen. There's a button you can press to affect how loud you're talking, so you can like try to intentionally yell or whisper or whatever. Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know the history perfectly of battle royales. I know they just kind of like, there's a battle royale in RuneScape. Like it got really popular around the time this first came out, and a whole bunch of games all at once. And I thought DayZ was one of the first games that was like battle royale adjacent, but I don't know that it had the mist appears from all edges of the map and like centers somewhere. I have no tutorial, so I don't know. Looks like I've got food and water to worry about. What do I have? Glow stick, bandage, plum. I eat the plum right away? And also this, I feel like this game was in development hell for a long time. Like it remained an Arma 3 mod for years and years and years until it finally got a standalone release. Path of Exile did it. It was the only time anyone interacted with PvE ever. It's funny. Buy it. Curious how much of the map is static, if the entire map is static, how much of the map is random loot, that kind of a thing. Takes a while to eat, that's funny. Almost certainly going to run into another player and get annihilated. I have no idea what I'm doing, but... Am I right? Can somebody like Google that if they don't know offhand? Did DayZ not have zombies in it for a really long time, or did they like get disabled super early and then just never added back in? It seems funny that like that happened almost in the opposite direction with Fortnite, because Fortnite was originally like the name Fortnite was as in like, you know, a 2 week period, right? Like you were like gonna build forts to hide from zombies and like this save the world zombie campaign mode. And then they like quickly pivoted to try to capitalize on the battle royale and either drop the single player campaign or didn't focus any development time on it. But like the zombie thing is long gone by the time anyone became popularly aware of Fortnite. Long stick. Long stick. Sweet, I got a weapon, I think. Multiplayer open survival is kind of an interesting concept. I don't know if there's like a archetypical game in this genre right now. I hear about Rust a lot, where you like build bases and claim territory, join gangs, that kind of a thing. I also am curious how many people on this server have been on here and like for how long they've been connected and playing actively, you know? Like what happens when you disconnect. Yeah, it'd be cool if I have to get like a backpack or something. T-shirt, making pants. So they never make it into the game. That's really funny. I guess it's just days now. Oh, cool. Take a motorbike helmet. It's cool that it affects your vision. I do kind of like this idea of exploring the map and trying to find things to survive with. That's cool. I haven't yet played a game that's really gripped me that's about something like this. I guess if you went like roguelike PVM with it, instead of PvP focused, that would probably be more, I would be more in the target audience for that. I wouldn't say that this isn't up my alley because it is interesting. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't even know that the standalone release came out. I was under the impression that this was in like development hell forever and never actually got released. I think I've seen a little bit of PUBG. I had a friend who was into it, so when I was over, they'd have a stream running. I feel like the idea of your investment in your current session increasing the longer you spend because of how empty the map is. And so the stakes get higher and higher as you start actually accruing food and resources. I do think that's pretty cool. I guess part of the reason I stopped messing around with Fortnite at all when my friend was having me play it with him was just the feeling that I'd spend 15 minutes preparing and then get sniped and it would be over and just a waste of time, and not wanting to start over to do that all over again over and over. Ate and drank something. Okay. Well, it'd be nice to find some actual food. It's a Hunger Games mod from Minecraft. That's like an Arma thing, right? The whole you have to worry about sharpen. You have to worry about bullet trajectory. Oh, now I have a sharpened stick. I see. Can I change what I have equipped? Useful cooking tool. That's kind of cool. Combine. I'd rather have that as my weapon, but I don't know how to equip it. I have to like put it in my hands or something. I had it equipped accidentally before. Well, maybe it's now that it's a sharpened stick, it's not a weapon and it's specifically for cooking. Okay. The right side said swap. Here where it says hands, you mean? There we go. Okay. Thanks. Server will be restarted in 45 minutes. Well, that'll be my cue to stop. I'll credit a few minutes to Subblock Bank. I wonder if it always tries to spawn you in like total wilderness, or if it tries to spawn you away from other players. Limited run energy. Hello. Jumpsuit jacket. Wish I could just like double click to... No, that's not what I want. How do I equip you? I like the Tetris inventory, that's kind of cool. Okay, that worked eventually. Vicinity lets me drop stuff. Okay, I think I understand. I got more pockets on the jumpsuit jacket. That's kind of cool. Really having trouble getting stuff re-equipped here. Oh, I see that was on my t-shirt before. Okay. There we go. First try. Cool. PUBG's innovation may have been choosing where to drop. Yeah. That's kind of a cool idea. I don't hate Battle Royale games. I think that there's some interesting, very minor gameplay loop changes that you can make to maybe make them more interesting. I wonder if I would enjoy Fortnite better now that they have a no build mode, which is kind of funny that they have that, but it also seems like Fortnite is like a weird media crossover nightmare now. Cue the Dan Olsen video. Dry sack. Flexible watertight container, protects contents from dust, sand, dirt, and water. I like equip this somehow. God, I gotta stop doing that. Effectively like a backpack. Armband. As soon as another player sees me, I'm fucking dead. Yeah, exactly. There's some UI lag that makes it unclear if I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, I like that in Tetris 99. That's probably my favorite battle royale that I've played. That was a good time. That was probably good for all players, right? Because if you had won one game before, you have a bigger challenge, and it would remove you from the queue of other people, right? So I guess, yeah, the MMR thing is a big issue. You don't know if you're going to run into Ninja or whatever and get completely fucking nuked. Which is fine. I mean, I guess that's supposed to be the idea, that you never know if you're up against like a 5-year-old or Ninja. But given that there ends up being a giant time commitment where you could just be unlucky and run into Ninja, I guess that's why everybody constantly dropped into, what was it, Tilted Towers, where everybody would drop at the beginning to just get the dying out of the way and then see if they had a run or not based on the drops they picked up. It's unfortunate because I think the building was like supposed to be the entire cell of Fortnite, but it also created this really weird meta. Alright, so I think they've very deliberately made it so that the loot is rather sparse. I feel like I've searched a lot of places that could have loot. I've only gotten a few pieces. Okay, I've already got a jumpsuit jacket. Smoke grenade, that's exciting. Put that on my numbers down here. Okay, good. Right, yeah. Very big cursed problem energy. Ooh, fishing rod. Well, yeah, I'm like starving to death, so that would be good. DayZ have a fully fleshed out fishing minigame? Because that would be really funny. I'm gonna die of starvation just because I don't know how to do anything in this game. Oh, I need bait. Of course. Let's see if I can just find some food lying around, I guess. It was Save the World like a co-op, not like Left 4 Dead necessarily, but build a fort and defend against waves of zombies kind of a thing. Yeah, this game has very little interest in onboarding you. It's pretty funny. Working boots. Where the hell did those go? I just picked them up. Things able to go into my little satchel here that I can't equip? I have to guess that the inventory is kind of janky on purpose so that you can't like hot swap stuff trivially. I've heard of Escape from Tarkov. See like front page Reddit posts about it pretty frequently. Tracksuit jacket. Is there a squat emote in this game? This is really weird and sometimes just happens. Maybe it's getting put in that automatically. Well, I definitely want the motorcycle helmet. I'm assuming that makes me take less damage. Okay, really starting to starve to death. Let me see if I can go forage for some berries or something. Oh, is that a person? Might be a zombie. Trying to fight him. Oh, can I not use it? Okay, hold on. I also can't throw my weapons. Wait, how am I supposed to do anything? Left click is not the use item button? There it goes. Okay. Excited to go stab the zombie, but... Yeah, I can't attack. Is there like an attack button? What the hell? You'd think it would be left click, right? I can try. I can't even like drop it. I think it's that technically I don't have any weapons. God, this game's controls are so strange. At least I survived forever while the zombie's attacking me repeatedly. I punch him to death? If I have nothing in my hands, then I can do something? Wait, how did I punch a second ago and now it won't let me punch anymore? Wait, it just did. Oh my god, this is so strange. Like, I'm spamming like left click here and nothing's happening. It's a true achievement in onboarding that should be studied. Respawn. I was holding right click for most of that because that makes him like hold his fists up. I don't think I was in first person last time. Okay. Yeah, no kidding. Get a beanie. Another beanie. Infinite beanies. Some ammo, that's shocking. Wonder if that would have also worked with the pointy stick. The smoke grenade was just stuck in my hand and I couldn't get rid of it. It was really silly. And like left click was doing nothing, which is what's odd. Like if left click was reserved for something else, that might make sense, right? I can't get the 2x4. know how to get back to third person mode. There we go. Leather sewing kit. Regular sewing kit. I feel like a game like this needs to be like crazy robust in terms of like all the things it lets you do, like crafting and... Oh, hello. No, it's not working again. It was only working in first-person view. Wait, does it only... I can't do any attacking if I'm moving. Cool. Can I, like, search? That was what the problem is. If you're moving at all, you cannot attack. I guess they don't want you, like, doing the back up and punch thing to minimize damage taken. Oh, hey, a car battery. Yeah, okay. Oh, goose liver. Nice. Garbage, not actual loot. Video games. Oh, this is like the standalone version too, right? Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. I don't show any frame drops now. The hell? Human steak? Maybe like somebody else left this here? Alright, I want to see if I can attack with the stick. Okay, yes, I can. A lot of human steak. There's stuff in the shirt pants you can only see if you grab the clothes. Yeah. An actual gun, that's kind of cool. Scope for an assault rifle. This seems to suggest that there was another player here at some point, right? I probably don't want to eat human meat. It's not the assault rifle. I don't know how to switch to stuff that's on my back like that, unless it's just that I'm allowed to carry certain things on my back without it taking up space. What they're suggesting? I have no ammo. Okay, I guess I could use it to like threaten somebody if I ran into another player. Boonie hat. I'd be really interested to see what people consider to be the, like, final form of this genre, or if it's this, or if it's Rust or something. I think this is worse damage than just punching him to death. It's pretty funny. Okay, I have these, like, hotkeys, but they don't do anything, right? I'm trying to press 4 to switch to the apple. Maybe it's because I don't have enough space to swap out of the item and the game gives you no feedback if that's the case. That's the problem. Okay. I don't know if I have any kind of like inherent health regen or anything like that. It implies that I'm bleeding. Clothes and people's wounds. Okay, that worked. That's cool. Oh, it's arc in this genre? I didn't realize that. Yeah, I guess you don't need a ton of like game mechanics and features if the primary draw is the like emergent stuff with other players. It's a pooping variable you can set to 0, and then you poop on every frame. It's amazing. Landscape's quite pretty. Yeah, clunky interface. Somewhat deliberately clunky interface. Tarkov is more of a game, for lack of a better word, than a sandbox, right? Like, are there like set rounds and... I love how this thing is so much worse than just punching them to death. Stone knife. Hey, Boots. I don't know how much gear is like actually providing you defensive effects, or if it pretty much just exists to like be a thing to collect to get cool fashion for when you run into another player. I'm also curious if when you die you can go find your corpse and recover your shit or not. That's the t-shirt, right? That's the hiking pants. Quests, looting, base, and traders. That's cool. Yeah, I was kind of under the impression that from Osmosis that Tarkov was kind of the only game in its own genre at the moment. Oh, camouflage. I didn't think about that. Craft armband. Keep getting confused which of those is which. That'll help. All right, let's stand out as brightly as humanly possible. I will laugh if I get to the end of this session and don't run into a single other player. Because the map is really big. Battery charger. I guess you actually do get vehicles at some point. Yeah, I'm trying to be more open-minded about sandbox type games, or games that I would say closer to toy on the toy game spectrum. Like, I think I'm not in their target audience, but I think it's still interesting to try to figure out like what's the sell. And I think the sell for something like this is those emergent play experiences where you happen to bump into another player and you talk to each other and you work together and then you betray the other person. I've told the other story that I've told the story before that I went to a PAX panel that was Eric Woolpaw from the Portal 2 writing team and Tim Schafer, and they were just talking about writing, and it was right around the time this game was popular and a bunch of Minecraft servers were popular, and everyone was asking this question, like, how can you possibly write a satisfying game story in an era where the most satisfying stories possible are happening procedurally in games like Minecraft and DayZ? And Eric Paul was like, that's the dumbest fucking question I've ever heard. I don't know what you want me to say, right? Those aren't written experiences. The thing I'm producing is not in any way similar to that, right? Like, those apples and oranges. Like, it's cool that you can have this cool story that happened to you where you ran into some random guys in a DayZ map and made friends, and then a week later they backstabbed you or whatever. But like, that's not the same thing as a video game with a written story. Yeah. And it was like multiple people asking this question, like it was like a galaxy brain take. And it's like, I can get firewood. That's kind of cool. It makes sense, yeah. I mean, maybe it would make sense if the map was like insanely huge and full of people. I guess a lot of this, we've talked before about games where like the pitch is the fact that it's technologically impressive for the time that it came out, right? Like it seems like that seems to be a big part of the pitch for a lot of RTS games for people who played them when they were first being released. Like, oh my god, like I can actually modify this map, right? I can build an army of whatever size and send them around. Like the scope is insane for 1991. And so if you have a memory of those games, if you play something like Dungeon Keeper and you're like, holy shit, I can dig through the walls, this is crazy. Versus today when like every game is inspired by Dungeon Keeper and Minecraft and it's not a big deal anymore, right? So I know that there was like was it like a PS2 game that was trying to have like 100 players on it at the same time? I forget what this game was called. I don't think it succeeded, but I remember reading a lot of like magazine articles at the time when it was being developed. And so I think the dream has just been, I want to play a big shooter game that has potentially dozens or hundreds of people on the same map. PUBG had a huge boom, but it immediately died once it had competition. It's called like MAG or something like that. 100 player PlayStation shooter game MAG. Yeah, MAG. Massively multiplayer first-person shooter game for the PlayStation 3. It was only online for like 4 years. Online battles with 256 players. Yeah. I wonder how many games kind of exist in that space where it's like, okay, the entirety of this game is the new technological gimmick, and there's not necessarily terribly much substance beyond that. I don't necessarily think that that's what DayZ is, but yeah, massive action game. That's right. Yeah, I remember reading article after article after article on the lead up to its release. I thought it was being developed for the PS2 for a while, and then they moved it to the PS3. Maybe it was just PS3. Okay. This one, I assume you're intentionally trying to play with like a group of friends or something, right? You drop in together and work together and share resources and the like. That looks nice. Oh yeah, lots of Wii games. Adult Minecraft. Minecraft is adult Minecraft. But whatever, I guess I get it. Do I feel like do something to eat the liver pate? Oh my god, why can't I eat anything? There it goes. The Dynasty Warriors games are an example of a genre that, from my perspective, is about the gimmick of you fight 100 guys, and it doesn't really care too much about, like, really innovating beyond that concept, where every game kind of feels like the same game to me. And it was really impressive when the first one came out, and it was still impressive when they started to improve the graphics, but every Warriors game that I've been exposed to since then, it's like, okay, you got to put like a game in there now, y'all. Like, this is cool, I like it. Like, it feels pretty neat, but there's not really, it feels very stagnant, right? The early Wii games, I would completely agree that a lot of the Wii shovelware was just, look, we can make it so that when you swing your arm, your character swings their arm in a shitty, not one-to-one way. And you're like, oh, that's cool and impressive for like 15 seconds. And I think that that's really the problem we're seeing with a ton of VR games, that there still is not a VR killer app. It might be that just the fantasy of VR is unachievable because of the way the human ear works, and the way that you need to like tether yourself to a small space, right? Maybe they could come up with some kind of really compelling VR experience that takes place in a warehouse or something, but Ark or Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves I played a little bit of, but that was on somebody's subblock. I think I kind of got why you would play that game. I've heard Half-Life Alyx is good. Oh, cool. Well, we got 15 minutes left. I'll pop into another server, I guess, if it lets me. 65, that's a better ping. We gave you mouse-ish aiming while holding a controller-ish thing in my hands. Yeah, I think there were a couple form factors for which the Wii actually made sense, right? Like, I enjoy the aiming in Zelda Breath of the Wild. I prefer it to aiming with a controller if I want to make, like, fine adjustments using the gyroscope. But I think a lot of the time, like, we happen to resolve on a really efficient way to do video games really early. There's some alternate reality where we explored motion controls early and then like, wait a minute, you know, it actually makes more sense to just have a controller with buttons that you press. Yeah, connect, no buttons. Okay, but why is that good? Yeah. Connect is interesting for like 10 minutes. You play Fruit Ninja and you're like, okay, I'm over it, right? It's kind of cool technology. And I know that there's a lot of people that still use Kinects for like art exhibits and the like, but Beat Saber's fun. I have played Beat Saber and that is legitimately really cool. I'm not going to complain about that. Yeah, exactly. Scarf. Oh yeah, I think I played the Wii Trauma Center, and they did some cool stuff with the Wii mode in that. They tried to like play to its strengths instead of just giving you every conceivable minigame like WarioWare. Wait, am I the same character? Oh shit, I didn't realize I could... So am I like in the same part of the map, but with the same character because I haven't died yet? That's weird, on a different server. I liked I Expect You to Die too. But I guess the point I'm driving at is that there might be, you know, if there's of order tens of thousands of interesting games on, I don't know, the PS2 that are possible to exist, right? That are their own unique experiences that could exist on the PS2. Probably isn't even tens of thousands. It's probably like hundreds or low thousands. I think there's like dozens of VR concepts, right? And you need to have lots to justify the hardware and the drain and the expense and having part of your house set aside for it, right? And I just don't think, like, oh, when you turn your head, it's the same as moving the mouse slightly, is worth all of the pain that goes into it, right? Like, it's a less efficient thing to do than just turning the mouse like this. And it makes you sick, which is, you know, not great. There was a naked zombie when I was here before. First-person melee is even more bizarre and hard to follow. Okay. Nothing. Yeah, porn seems like a reasonable use case, but a very, very, very expensive use case. I don't know. Maybe they'll have some crazy breakthroughs in VR or AR in the next 20 years or something, but I think it's kind of DOA. I would like to play Half-Life Alyx on stream at some point. I have a Valve Index, so I have everything I would need to do to stream it. Because it sounds like it's like the one game other than Beat Saber that's like built from the ground up in VR, needs to be in VR, is an actual full single-player experience. Yeah, punching, I'm actually going to unequip this because punching is so much more viable than melee weapons. Beat Saber has a ton of songs, I thought, right? People do custom tracking. Oh, that's cool. When I'm low on health, food, and water, my top speed drains. I'm very, very skeptical of any game that has been adapted into VR that wasn't designed for it from the ground up. Like, I feel like anytime you do that, it's going to degenerate to Wii Waggle, right? Where it's like, okay, you mapped a button to me shaking the Wiimote. That's not. It's more efficient to just press a button, right? And players are going to eventually gravitate to that after the charm wears off. Yeah. It's like a cool little like 5-minute. I hear that like Elite Dangerous is pretty neat in VR. That makes sense given what kind of game it is already. Just put me out of my misery, man. I tried. I'm guessing my melee damage goes down when I'm hungry. Oh no, Super Hot fucking rules in VR. Super Hot is, I mean, I've played Beat Saber, I've played Super Hot. Super Hot is the coolest thing. And it's like one of those things where it's so good practically accidentally, I think. Like, I think it just happens that the system they already developed for the non-VR version of Super Hot feels cool as hell to play because the fact that the entire game stops moving when you're physically standing still feels awesome. And you can't, like, every game can't be that, right? You can't have every game work like Super Hot. And it certainly doesn't justify the entire system, but it's definitely probably the coolest, like, 3 hours I've experienced with the headset on. Yeah, exactly. It's a completely unique campaign. But it's wild for all the folks who are like, oh, we're gonna make a VR version of our game that like their core concept feels so cool. Because you can like physically duck to dodge bullets, right? Because as you're moving, that's what affects the speed that the bullets are moving. It feels like you're in the Matrix. I sometimes encounter really, really awesome game mechanics like that where I'm like, man, like every game shouldn't be this. Like every game shouldn't have a manual like Tunic or have knowledge's progression elements like that or Outer Wilds. Like that's too specific to the kind of product that it's going for, but it's such a cool idea and it's sad that you won't see it in more games. Uh-oh, I thought I was about to crash. I guess a lot of games are picking up on diegetic death and like time loops. Because I've mentioned before that like every game kind of sort of supports a non-diegetic form of time travel and that you have a save file that you can load, right? Some games don't, but it's neat when games actually acknowledge that and make it part of the core loop. It's so much more efficient than using a melee weapon. What the hell? Can I not equip it because it's badly damaged or something? It's weird. Elite's great because you can like just sit in your cockpit, right? So it's perfect that you're just sitting at your desk and not moving. But it lets you feel fully immersed in the space trucking. Yeah. I could see it being cool for something like Euro Truck Simulator as well. Same reason. I also punch so much faster than I could swing. Pepsi Cola. Definitely tastes better than the competing brand. What the fuck? Why are you guys injecting weird pro Pepsi propaganda into your zombie game? Press waggle to sword. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think that ooh, skate helmet. Dan Olson's Metaverse video makes a really interesting point about text, that like text, it turns out, is an extremely efficient way to communicate information, and that like the most basic Angel Fire or GeoCities website from the 80s was already good enough for most corporate applications, because if you're gonna like make a VR office or something in the metaverse, that's a much bigger pain in the ass than just giving somebody a website link that has your phone number and hours of operation, right? Like, there's not a lot of actual things you can do with VR that aren't just a gimmick. I could see horror games working. I think the fantasy is there. Like, I get why you would want to do it. Oops. Okay, you can go away, thank you. I think there's some hope for AR. Like, I think that Pokemon Go squandered a lot of goodwill by Niantic kind of mirroring Game Freak and not giving a shit and just assuming that they're going to get as much money as possible without needing to actually do anything with their game. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left. This has been wild. I haven't seen another player. I struggled to do anything for a while. And I guess the most exciting thing I found was a room full of human steak. That was kind of cool, actually. That was a moment. That was a emergent story that Eric Wolpaw and Tim Schafer are never going to be able to recreate. That time I wandered around for an hour and found a stack of human steak and an empty gun, and then couldn't figure out how to throw a smoke grenade and died. They give less. Been doing it since Ingress. Yeah, they're so awful about it. It bums me out because I think Pokemon Go had the opportunity to be something incredible. Like, I played it pretty hard when it first came out, and then pretty hard a couple of years later with like the local Los Alamos community. And like the goodwill to just enjoy it and play a game in the real world and walk around is there. It's just, they just didn't give a shit about making it particularly more interesting, right? But maybe somebody will do AR one day, I don't know. It seemed like Niantic was trying to build a like database of points of interest to sell to other companies, which is kind of icky, and using Pokemon Go to do that. But I guess you almost kind of need that to make your AR game. All right, we got a quilted jacket. That'll close out the playthrough. This has been really interesting. I'd be interested in seeing more games like this if anyone wants to put them on Subblock. maybe one of these days I'll encounter a player. Stays on the server during the countdown. That's fair. Just so you can't like log out to avoid combat or something.